Yeah, that is Shane Ryan on Tiger Woods, who sits on 2 under par of the opening round of the Masters on after his 70 yesterday. It's Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka leading the way, who both fired 66s yesterday for 6 under, 1 clear Phil Mickelson, and then a further shot back to Ian Poulter and Dustin Johnson. So a pretty stacked leaderboard, John Duggan. Good morning to you.
Adrian and Connor, how are you doing?
Good. That is... There's one stat about was the last 13 champions have ended day one in the top 10, and you could see with other players like Adam Scott and John Rahm not a million miles away why that might continue in 2019.
Hard course to chase on, yeah. It's a hard course to chase on because the quality, I think, of the field is a huge part of that. It hasn't been since 2005 that a player shot over par, Tiger Woods it was, and won the Masters. And Rory McIlroy has to battle that stat 14 years on. And he's already 7 off the players who won the last 2 majors. Brooks Koepka, US Open, USPGA. Bryson DeChambeau has won 5 times on the tour in the last 3 years. Phil Mickelson has won 3 Masters. Dustin Johnson is the second best player in the world. Yeah. He's won 20 times on the US tour. Ian Poulter will give it everything. And then you got John Rahm and Adam Scott, as you say. So it's Ricky Fowler's in there on 2 under, Woods on 2 under, Molinari 1 under. I think it's about the quality of the fields, which makes it harder for people to chase at Augusta, especially if you've got in there late, which they did, and posted a good score, and then if you get out early in soft conditions, and then you can shoot, say, 68. So say Koepka shoots 68, he's 10 under par. McIlroy's in the last group today, teeing off at 7 o'clock Irish time. Let's say you're 11 shots off the lead. What does that do to you psychologically? You end up chasing it a bit, you end up pushing it a bit, and then you end up possibly making mistakes because you're not playing your own game, you're pushing a leaderboard.
And he's all over the place as well, Rory. Like it is in some ways fairly classic Rory McIlroy that we tend to see. Sometimes he can be all over the place and still shoot a 6 under par. But I started watching him last night on it might have been 15, where he went left off the tee, was in behind the trees, horrific position to be in, and suddenly pulls out this amazing shot, has a putt for eagle, gets birdie. Birdie's the 16th, and you think suddenly 1 under par. The lead at that point was 3 under. You think, Jesus, he could match this. Bogey finish. And as you say, like when you listen to Rory McIlroy during the week, he talks about all the mental game that he's been doing and the juggling and the meditation and all this stuff. The difficulty is when you start talking about that stuff and it doesn't work. Where does he go from here?
Well, he talked himself into the green jacket. He talked himself into the measurements, the way he was speaking at that press conference and the way he'd been playing so well. Best, hottest player in the world, won the Players' Championship. You're thinking, okay, he sorted out his head and this is going to be a Rory that now gets over the line regarding this career Grand Slam. Brooks Koepka had no bogeys. DeChambeau had the last 4 holes he made birdies on. Woods only had 1 bogey. You can't make 6 bogeys at Augusta. You just can't. And expect to win the thing. You just can't. You can't have sloppy errors in what you're doing. And even from the first tee shot, a nervy opening tee shot that went off to the right. And to me, that's poor. That's poor from somebody who should be just striping it down the middle and maybe shooting. It would be much better for McIlroy to shoot 70 with just 2 birdies and no bogeys than to be shooting 5 birdies and 6 bogeys. Yeah. And he could shoot 64 today. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, but he's immediately under pressure.
And he's chasing all the way now.
Chasing all the way now, and I think we've seen before when Spieth, when he won by that record total in, I think it was at 15, he was miles clear. I think he shot 66 and 64, and there's just too much quality at the top of the leaderboard. I think McIlroy's Masters is over now, and there's just too much quality at the top of the leaderboard. The classic cliche, you can not win it on the Thursday and the Friday, but you can lose it. I think he's lost it.
I think with the 2 at the head is in the lead, like Bryson DeChambeau, as everybody knows, very quirky kind of individual, but he's a winner. Like he's a born winner, even from his amateur days. And a bit like Brooks Koepka, they've no scar tissue here. But Koepka has won every major that he's contended for. I remember listening to Shane Ryan speaking after the PGA last year, and Koepka, who didn't even make Shane Ryan's book, which in 2014 was about who would be the next great golfer to succeed Tiger Woods. He mentioned 14, 15 young golfers. Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, all these guys. Koepka didn't make it. He was on the European tour. You know, he decided to go to Europe to try and cut it as a golfer. But he has won every major that he's contended for. They say this about Dustin Johnson, you know, that he doesn't have a heartbeat, that he hits a bad shot, but he can get over it that quickly. And I suppose the implication is nearly that Dustin is unaware of the magnitude of his mistake. But like Dustin Johnson, was winning at a rate that Tiger Woods was winning at on the PGA Tour in 2016, 2017, and he's been in the final group in 5 majors and only won once. Koepka's different. Koepka looks like he's the sort of fella who could actually pull away from the field if he has a good day today, which buys into, I think, what John is saying about Rory McIlroy. He doesn't just have ground to make up on what he has already not shot. It's what Koepka can do from here on in. And if Koepka starts well today, it could be a big number after Friday.
Yeah, I see Johnson on 4 under par. I always feel that, and he's somebody who's definitely got that capacity, I think, to kick on over the weekend. I've always felt that commentary around Dustin Johnson has been so unfair to him, that idea that he's on the tee and there's literally nothing going around in his head, that's the... Padraig Harrington has that theory about you're either uber, if you're really good, you're either uber intelligent or you're uber dumb, and that DJ fits that. I've always felt it's very unfair to him.
Yes, Dustin. He's been around quite a long time, and he's 34 now. And I remember like the U.S. Open that he lost. I think it was out in Washington State. The greens were awful, and I think he 3-putted. And last year Shinnecock was very windy, and he is a winning machine. He was won already in Mexico this year. I almost have felt that his game has not been suited to Augusta because of the way he hits the ball. He hits a cut. And I do think just because somebody is, and I think as well with Brooks Koepka, is people are kind of going, well, Brooks Koepka is a bit dull. Maybe he's just quiet. Maybe he doesn't want to engage in the celebrity game with the media. And I do think there's kind of sometimes whispering articles that you get in the press about Dustin Johnson and that kind of thing. And why would you want to be going and talking to the media if you're getting these whispering articles or these rumours and all this kind of thing going on? So. I do think it's unfair to somebody's talent, and I also think that human beings are not, as sports stars, are not all of them geared to be media performers like Tiger Woods, like Phil Mickelson, like Ricky Fowler, to have all their social media correct and everything is very entertaining and that. And I think sometimes we get spoiled by golf because you're generally played by quite... theoretical kind of thinkers. Padraig Harrington being a very clear exponent, close to home of that. And I sometimes think we're spoiled. I mean, we get access to golfers that we wouldn't get really in other sports regarding their thoughts, regarding their the way they feel. They've been doing 20-minute press conferences, or you wouldn't see Premier League footballers doing that. And if they'd be doing it, they'd be looking forward to the game. So I do think that sometimes the Dustin Johnsons and Brooks Koepkas can be a little bit unfairly painted as dull or uninteresting or not in tune with the whole magnitude of the legacy of the game, or you're expected to answer questions about what would it mean and Tiger and Jack and all that kind of thing. And I think they let their golf do the talking. You need to hit along at Augusta and you need to get in position, and there are two guys that, the thing about it is one of them might start to falter over the next 3 days. Will both of them falter? Will Phil falter, possibly over 4 rounds at the age of 48? Tiger, I watched him on the kind of the red button yesterday, and I thought he was a bit loose at times with his shots. He only made 1 bogey, but he was a little bit loose at times with his putts and his shots. And
he drove the ball very well early in the round in particular, and you're thinking, well, if this guy's in position off the tee, it's going to take a serious effort to beat him. But it was almost like he was playing a little bit safe after, on the second hole, he had an iron in on a par 5, and he played the kind of downhill long iron right to left, but he played for the good miss, if you know what I mean. He left himself in the bunker. Now he got up and down for the birdie, but on a Sunday you're taking that on and you're taking the risk of turning the shot over too much. It ends up in no man's land on the left and you drop a couple of shots. So what makes today really interesting, 2 things, is the fact that it's DeChambeau and Koepka at the leaderboard with a low score. It means that the idea of playing safely for 2 days is gone. You have to go and attack. Tiger Woods will have to attack today. Rory McIlroy will have to attack. Anybody that's not 3 under will have to go and attack whenever they get out on the course. The other thing is the chance of rain. Rain changes Augusta completely. Like in was it 2007, Zach Johnson won a very wet Augusta, a short hitter. But like the theory that a wet course suits the longer hitters because they carry the ball further off the tee, it doesn't check out in Augusta all the time, because the par 5s then become equalised and nobody's going for the green in 2. So then the guys who make shots in the field are the fellas with the wedge in their hand, the fella who hits the best 90-yard shot, and that's not Rory McIlroy. It's somebody like Xander Schauffele or Brandon Grace or even Francesco Molinari. But as it happens, there are a lot of big hitters up the top of the leaderboard, and I don't think Brooks Koepka or Dustin Johnson would be too unhappy to see if things get a bit kind of moist in Augusta today, because the forecast over the next couple of days it looks like it will definitely rain one of the days, and today could be the kind of most interesting day. With it's almost like today is Saturday now, because there's a lot of movement that has to happen in the field for people to have a shot by tomorrow morning.
The tack point is an interesting one, that they're so far up there that the rest of the field needs to get a bit of a move on. Shane Lowry is one of those players who is pretty much out of it now, 78. On day one, he's clearly doubting himself. Asked whether he could get back into it, I don't know, he said. Like, we spoke about the photograph that's on a lot of the newspapers this morning that speaks volumes about his mental position. You know, the body language, you can see the facial expression, it's exasperation. Vincent Hogan, the Irish Independent, is out there, a good paragraph about him here. Lowry's round amounted to a grim, monotone struggle that left him questioning the pressure he'd put on himself just to get to Augusta National, let alone navigate his way around the toughest country estate in golf.
Well, he hit it in the water on the easiest hole in the course, 13, kind of sums up his day. Only one birdie, the rest bogeys, and he's been trying a lot of drivers since he won in Abu Dhabi, and I'm not so sure if he's comfortable with his game or where it is. And as he said in the article, it can get away from you quite quickly. Augusta, you have to be precise around Augusta, and you have to keep the ball in play. And I don't think it was one thing that derailed him yesterday. I think it was a host of things. And you just can't make 7 bogeys around Augusta, and that's just the way it is. You disappointing performances like Matsuyama I would have expected to contend, and he's 3 over, and Patrick Reed, the defending champion, is 1 over par. Jordan Spieth seems to completely lost it. He can't hit the ball straight, and he's got the yips. Justin Rose didn't have a great day. So if you can let it get away from you, Augusta, you have to be in a degree of equilibrium with your game, and we saw Brooks Koepka describing his round as the best ball striking round he's ever had in a major. There's just too much quality, and also the par 5 performance is a huge thing. Like with these big hitters, if they're playing the par 5s well, they're picking up, say if you pick up 3 shots out of the 4 par 5 holes, then you maybe pick up another birdie or 2, and then you might have a couple of bogeys. That's 3 under par. So John Rahm would definitely be still in the conversation as well on 3 under par. Adam Scott would be in the conversation as a previous winner. But Kevin Kisner has won recently. He's one of the players, I think you're talking about, Connor, one of those precision players if the weather turns the correct way. And Ricky Fowler. But I'd be very surprised if we're talking about if there's somebody we haven't talked about right now that's going to win the Masters on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Koepka. And now it could be he could go out today and have a very poor start, and until you bottle your first major, you haven't bottled a major yet. You know, so there is a chance that it could happen. But he was so cool in the PGA last year, was in Bethpage, when all around him there was chaos breaking out because Tiger was on a different hole and Tiger was getting into contention, and I think it would have been very easy to become distracted. But it wasn't just how long he hits it off the tee. His long irons were so straight, and his putting was absolutely, he's an aggressive putter as well, which in Augusta it can be hard to do because it's almost a psychological thing. You see somebody like Ricky Fowler or Brad Snedeker, they aggressively put.
It's very easy to knock it 3, 4, 5 more feet past.
Yeah, but Koepka, I think, is the sort of guy who will keep being aggressive on his putts. He won't let it, like people talk McIlroy's putting being, he's not a good enough putter to win in Augusta, but he's a streaky putter, and I don't think it's his putting that lets him down. It's a reaction to a bad missed putt. The second hole last year in the final round being the classic example.
Temperament. I think you're talking about temperament.
He stood up on the third tee with an iron then and put it into the trees, and you're just saying, well, hang on, like you still made birdie on 2. You've made 2 shots on Patrick Reed. You're just so disappointed not getting the eagle that you've let it go to your head.
He did knock in a long one on 15 yesterday, and you're kind of looking at it going, if this works from this week.
Yeah, and it's too instant. It's too instant. It's too bad, as you're saying, about the next 10 minutes, rather than it being, okay, well, let's do these in quadrants, or let's do these, how did the 6 holes go?
Yeah.
Like Brooks Koepka was tied 56 at the Players. He's been nowhere. He's been nowhere since the PGA, and then he's coming out in a major and he's just turned it on. And as you say, he hasn't blown one yet. He's only 28, and
there was a story during the week, and I saw Brandon Chambly talking about it, that there was some story that Koepka had changed diet and he'd lost a lot of weight. I saw a picture of him there and he doesn't look like the sort of fella who's going to downsize anyway.
I heard the commentators talking about it in the coverage last night and I was kind of
Speaking to the gym, Brooks Koepka.
Are we all getting a bit too excited about the day one leaderboard? Is this? Yeah. Are we going to be...
We've been in the now and it'll be like 3 other new lads will be, lead in tonight.
Exactly.
But off the ball AM tomorrow, so we can't really...
No, we can't make any...
I think just the interesting part of it, just to top it off, is that usually on a day one leaderboard, there's one of those guys there, and so is Fred Couples and Bernard Langer,
Yeah.
But whereas this actually has the look of a Sunday leaderboard, and when it starts to take shape that quickly, it's hard to imagine them all coming backwards.
No, some of them will, but some of them won't.
And Butch is back. The biggest news of the week. Butch Harmon is back behind the mic. Everybody's happy. Makes everybody feel comfortable and homely and can put on the slippers for the weekend.
I do this for sport a lot. I turn down the TV sound and I just watch it.
Do you really?
I also watch the red button a lot. So I found watching the Masters the last few years, like you'd be watching the red button on the Sunday, or they like to have the 15th and 16th holes, utter peace, utter quiet, and then you get.
You don't like the commentary teams? Or?
I sometimes it can be it can grate a bit on my head. I like because whatever about my arrogance, whatever. I like to get my own opinion processed through my mind and. Chopping and changing lads all the time and saying obvious things and I know that. The
other thing is we all follow sport now on Twitter and inevitably the live coverage isn't live, it's a few seconds delayed, so you're kind of saying hi, and then it switches over and then you see whatever.
The PGA Tour Twitter account are the worst for it. They'll ruin a putt just for it's like, lads, do you not understand? Hold tight here for a few seconds. Give us an opportunity to see this.
Also, I love Butch, but not every ex-golfer is a good commentator.
It's true.
Colm McGinley's good, Butch is good, but not everyone is good. And sometimes some of these people I don't want to hear them, and it's not disrespect. I just don't want to hear. Like I turn down football commentary as well for the same reason.
Right.
And
this is going to be a longer conversation, John. I do appreciate this. We are coming back to this.
Even when I look back on Off the Ball AM, I'll be doing like it's like Butch. When the other Butch looks at the camera, I'll be like looking back now at this item I did in the Masters and looking without the sound. I'll be looking at the sound.
Well, my problem with Butch is that he is actually coaching some of the guys that are contending, and he.
Is that a conflict?
Yeah, it is a conflict, but he won't. Like that he knows what's going on with their swing. He knows what they've tweaked, and he kind of refuses to divulge. And when you know that, the stuff he says about those golfers annoys you. Because you can tell that he's talking around the thing that he should be talking about.
Yeah, definitely. That point exists in all sports, isn't it? It can be infuriating at times. Everybody's been slammed this morning. Commentators getting slammed. Game of Thrones getting slammed. Nobody's safe.
The whole concept of sound being slammed.
John, we are coming back to that conversation, by the way, just so you know. Thanks, William, for coming in.
All right, guys. Cheers.